What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Upres Live. Here on a Thursday, we have picks against the spread for you. We will talk about LaMarcus Aldridge retiring, and we will also preview the Blazers vs. Spurs game. Now, we will be uploading this to Spotify. We're getting those more frequent. We will cut out the picks against the spread segments for those, so if you're listening on Spotify, thank you for tuning in on our new uploading platform. If you're here in chat, welcome in. You guys are the best for tuning in to our streams over here on our second channel. Hope everybody's days are going well. We don't waste time with these. We hop straight into it. If you're ready, Eric. You ready to just go dive straight in?
Yep.
Alrighty. So, very interesting Monday in terms of picks against the spread. Here are the records. Eric has finally tied Chat. Chat continues to fall off the map. Zach is only 5 games back, so he's getting close there. I had a 4-5 day, but I still gained a game. Now only 7 games back. I mean, Reese is in last. He's only 13 games back. It's bunching up here. We'll see if Trevin and Reese can kind of catapult themselves up, but it's for the past 4 or 5 times, it seems like there's 2 tiers. It's Chat and Eric, me and Zach, and then Trevin and Reese. So hopefully those lines blur a little bit. I'm looking forward to this one. Only 4 games today, so it's going to be a short picks segment. But, you know, it's four interesting games, I'd say. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the games. The first game you got is Atlanta taking on Milwaukee. This game's being played on TNT, tipping off at 4:30, more like 4:45 with the way TNT games go. Actually, do they delay the early game as much as they delay the 8-game tip time?
I don't think so. But yeah, still.
Yeah, normally we play the late game, so but yeah, 4:30, 4:45, this game will be tipping off. Interesting game. Atlanta's been playing really well. They're sitting at 30-25 right now, but Milwaukee is a 5.5 point favorite. You got injuries, Eric, potentially?
Yeah, so the reason why this point spread is probably lower than it should be is because Giannis was questionable, but he was just announced a little bit ago that he is going to play. But DiVincenzo is out for the Bucks. And for the Hawks, Trae Young was also questionable, but it looks like he's going to give it a go. But Gallinari, Collins, Reddish, Hunter, Snell, I think look like they're all out.
Okay, I was thinking about taking Atlanta, but with all those guys out, I am going to roll with the Bucks.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Bucks in this one.
We can't have clean sweeps today. There's only 4 games.
This is looking like it might be Chat's double down too. I don't see a single Atlanta pick.
Did Trevin go with the Bucks too?
Yep.
Trevin, Zach, alrighty. So, looks like it's a clean sweep for the Bucks for game number 1, sadly. That's what those records on Thursday varied, or on Monday varied a lot because we had a lot of varied picks. So it was a fun day of picks against the spread. The day before that, everybody was 4-4 or 5-3.
Was there a single vote for Atlanta?
I don't see one. It's 14-0 Bucks right now.
Okay. All right.
Alrighty, let's move on to game number 2. You got Cleveland taking on Golden State. Golden State's 6-point favorite. Game tipping off at 5 p.m.
So, of course, Klay Thompson, Wiseman, and Pascal are all out, along with Oubre, who was doubtful. I think he got officially ruled out, though. And then for the Cavaliers, Sexton was questionable, but it looks like he's going to play. But Jared Allen and Larry Nance were back as of last game, so the Cavs, actually, if Sexton plays, don't have any injuries right now.
Oh, I don't like this one. I don't like this one at all, honestly.
I'm going to take the Warriors.
All right. I really don't like this one.
Reese is taking the Warriors. Trevin is taking the Warriors. And Zach is taking the Warriors.
Really? Because I was thinking about taking the Warriors. Yeah, I gotta go Warriors, man.
You can't force people to pick against what they think is going to happen.
I know. They've just been playing so well lately. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit on the fence with this one, but Golden State's just been playing so well.
You know it, Belgian. I want my name to have to Tori to have to move it up past you guys this next Blazers and Spurs live.
Yeah, I'm not doing it until you pass them because I have to remember the standings and whatnot, and sometimes I've mixed them up before trying to switch two names around. So, Game number 3, you got the classic rivalry: Lakers Celtics. Boston 6-point favorite. TNT 7 p.m.
So Fournier is out for the Celtics. Robert Williams is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just real quick see if there's an update on that. For the Lakers, of course, LeBron and AD are out. Markieff Morris questionable.
Got you.
Let me just check.
Trevin's going Celtics.
Oh, Robert Williams is officially ruled out, it looks like.
Makes it a little tougher. They've been a really good team with him in the starting lineup. But I'm still going to go Celtics.
I'm also going Celtics. But 3 of the 4 games tonight are road favorites.
Yeah. Looks like Chat put in a lot of Lakers votes. It looks like this is going to be close. I hope Chat goes Lakers. Man, what if it's all just a clean sweep for all 4 games?
Well, we'd have their double downs different, probably.
Yeah, it just... Hey, Chat went Lakers, thank goodness. The monotony has ended. Reese is going Lakers. Dope. All right. And then Zach is going Lakers as well. Yay, a clean sweep. We needed that. All right. So Zach, Reese, Chat, Lakers, Trevin, Eric, me, Celtics. Game number 4, final game of the day, sadly. You got the Kings versus the Suns. The Suns are a 12.5-point favorite.
The Suns, once again, are probably been one of the healthiest teams in the league. Abdel Nader is still the only player listed on their injury report. For the Kings, they are, of course, without Marvin Bagley, but also Rashawn Holmes is out for this one.
I hate picking Suns games so much. I said this the last time I picked them, got them wrong.
If I would have just doubled down on the Rockets instead of the stupid Magic last game, I'd be in first right now.
I mean, the Rockets, Suns were like 12-point favorites against the Rockets or something like that. And, the Suns probably take care of it. The Rockets suck. And then the Rockets made it a close game. So, I don't know.
I'm going to take the points and take the Kings in this one.
Yeah.
Trevin is taking the Suns.
Alrighty.
Zach is taking the Kings.
That's Reese made his pick. Reese is going Suns.
And I don't think so, Tommy.
I'm going to go Kings with the points. And just hope they keep it somewhat close. I swear, like the last 6 or 7 times I've picked on the Suns, I've gotten it wrong.
9-6 Suns for Chat.
All right, so we got another split vote. That's good. Reese, Trevin, and Chat going Suns. Me, Eric, and Zach going Kings. Me and Eric agree on every pick, but now we have double downs. So I never remember to hide these before the stream. There we go.
Chat's double down are the Bucks.
Okay.
And that is also my double down.
Alrighty.
Zach is doubling down on the Bucks.
Really? I don't feel that comfortable doubling down on the Bucks.
That's
honestly. Good. The Hawks have been playing so well.
Go with another one. That's good.
I don't want to go with the Warriors. I'm going to double down on the Celtics.
All right.
Lots of green there.
Trevin, did you double down on the Bucks?
Reese is doubling down on the Bucks?
Yeah.
Yep. I'm going to be rooting against the Bucks then, honestly.
Yeah.
I want to get that one wrong.
You should switch their pick to the Hawks.
Oh, that put a lot on the line.
I know.
Did Zach double down on the Bucks too?
Yep. Five of us, and then you're on the Celtics island.
Yeah, I will be on an island with my double down. Didn't think I'd say that. All right, there we go. Next Monday, I think we have 6 games, so it's a little better. The schedule is super jam-packed, but I guess it's not lining up on Mondays or Thursdays. But yeah, there you go. Everybody Bucks except me for their double downs. So good luck to me and none of you. Maybe Trevin and Reese because I need it.
Chat and I have the same double down and the same picks in the first 2 games, but opposite picks in the Celtics, Lakers, and Kings Suns. So those 2 games will determine who's.
You guys will both be like 4-1 or 3-2 then.
Yeah.
Watch. It'll be something like that, and I'll be 5-0. Wait, no, I have all the same picks as you. Crap. Celtics need to take care of business, but I want the Hawks to cover here because I'll take 1 loss if all you get 2. I'm cool with that. Anyway, that is picks against the spread. So let's talk about LaMarcus Aldridge retiring this morning due to the irregular heartbeat that he's had throughout his career. When he was a Blazer early in his career, we heard about this. This is something that he's had, and apparently after one of his recent games for the Brooklyn Nets, I think it was the last game he played for them, he had the irregular heartbeat got worse after the game, and it scared him, and he is deciding to retire because of that, because of his irregular heartbeat. He has 2 sons, so it's him putting his health and his family first, wanting to be there for his family. Completely understandable reason to retire at this point. Kind of sad, man. I mean, you heard all the talk about, oh, he's going to come back and reunite with Dame, and even though I wasn't buying into that, it would have been a cool thing at the end of his career, I guess. Didn't like the guy after he left Portland for the Spurs, but those feelings have faded, and even if you don't like the guy for leaving, you don't want him to have to retire due to something like that. You want him to keep playing basketball. And honestly, it was just surreal because Roy's been gone for a while, Oden has been gone for a while, Aldridge was like the one holdover from that big 3 we had, and now he's also retired. All 3 of those guys are gone. I just thought that part of it was kind of surreal as well.
Yep, he was the last one of the 3 still standing, and I always hoped he'd finish his career in Portland, even though it didn't make sense this year. I absolutely did not want them to go that route. But yeah, overall, next year or the year after or whatever, I wouldn't mind, his last year being here, but that takes this out of the running. I don't want to make this negative or anything, so I'll not say anything about him leaving other than to acknowledge that, yes, I had bitter feelings about that for a long time, but I would have been cool with him coming back. Not if we traded for him, but yeah, it's too bad that his. He had a long career, but it was always kind of there and something he had to monitor. And it's too bad he couldn't finish out the season with the Nets to see what that team could have done.
Yep. And Damian Lillard was on Jalen and Jacoby, which is an ESPN show if you're not familiar with it, and he said the Blazers should retire the number 12. Now this brings up, I don't know, a debate that maybe this isn't the right time for it, but I'll ask chat, and I'll ask you, should the Blazers retire number 12?
I think they should. I mean, especially if you look at the numbers that are retired, he's definitely better than most of the people and that have numbers retired. It goes back to the whole, I wish they had a ring of honor versus just retiring every number they wanted to honor. Because I think it's a little crazy how many numbers we have retired, and it makes it a little less special when you do have your number retired, the more players that might not necessarily be worthy of that retirement. So yeah, it's I can see both sides of the argument, but I'd lean towards he probably should have his number retired.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what he did with the Blazers is kind of like the bar there, the minimum bar. I mean, here's the thing though: if you retire Aldridge's, you're likely going to need to retire CJ's. If you think about it, I mean, CJ has done a lot for the Blazers. He hasn't been the number one guy, but, assuming he's here for multiple years to come, I mean, you might be looking at CJ and, of course, Dame. Obviously, that's not even a question. And then people start talking about the Rory number. I mean, it'll get to a point where there's a lot of numbers retired. At least we're not the Celtics right now. The Celtics have a ton of numbers retired, and maybe, 100 years from now, it becomes a situation where they have to unretire, a number or, a few numbers just so they have enough. I don't know. Probably won't, get that bad, but you just think down in the future, you could see a lot of guys wearing, like, numbers in the 70s, 80s, 90s, just because of how many numbers get retired if the bar is too low. So I understand that argument, and I understand it kind of takes away from it a little bit, but one reason why I would want to see it happen is, he didn't it seemed like he wanted to return to Portland to finish his career, and he's not going to get that. Mm-hmm. So it would be kind of a way to substitute for that
ceremony,
giving him his moment here, so to say, and with Dame there and everything, it would be a cool moment, a cool gesture, and it would be fitting, and it would kind of replace, him coming back in a uniform if we're retiring his uniform.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just have some sort of closure on it.
Mm-hmm.
And someone asked in chat, do you think Aldridge regrets leaving? I 100% believe he does.
Well, you can just look at his message that he wrote today. He gave far more attention to Portland in that message than he did San Antonio or Brooklyn, which obviously is not going to say much about Brooklyn. He just got there, but he said, I don't remember, this isn't verbatim, but, I have a special place in my heart or something for Portland, drafting a skinny kid out of the University of Texas, and then he said something else about Portland, and then he thanked San Antonio Spurs for 5 fun years there, and that was it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think he regrets leaving. San Antonio didn't pan out how he wanted it to, and I think he realized his reasons for leaving were poor. Because it seemed to be more of like he wanted to be the guy, and Dame was taking up too much shine, and I don't know. It seemed to me like he was the guy, and he couldn't handle like somebody stepping into that spotlight in Portland.
Yeah.
So I think he regrets that. I think he regrets that for sure, and I think he definitely did want to finish his career here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean both Dame and LaMarcus have said that that's something that they would like to, fix that wrong. And unfortunately, LA is past his prime and probably wouldn't have been quite how they imagined it, even if he did come back. But yeah, it's still sad that they don't have the chance to do that on the court.
Yep. But let me just say this: if they retire Aldridge's number, they should probably retire Roy's too. Yeah. I mean, if we're at that point, I mean, and here's the thing with Roy's number. Let me just talk on this. Nobody's worn it since Roy, and Roy was gone a decade ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's already been de facto retired. And the organization has told players like that it's not on the table. So I'm just wondering if they're ever going to decide to retire that or not. Like it's been weird.
They initially didn't offer it to Melo his first year, but then said this year he could change it if he wanted to, and then he decided not to.
Yeah, but like he got Brandon Roy's blessing, and that's a unique situation for Melo. I just wonder what they're gonna do with that. But I think it's more likely that Aldridge just gets retired due to his longevity here. He had a few more years here that Roy didn't, and I think that plays a role.
Yep. And I mean, for me, if you're going to start retiring those numbers, I also think someone like Jerome Kersey and those kind of guys need to then be brought into it too, which goes against everything I said about way too many numbers retired, which is why I wish we had more of a Ring of Honor versus retirement jersey, and then just leave the retired numbers to like the greatest players like Walton, Clyde, Lillard when he retires, maybe Porter thrown in there. But like, yeah, to me, I think it's a little too heavy on some of the players from the 70s and not heavy enough on the late 80s, early 90s run. And definitely not, there's not many from the success of the late 90s, early 2000s. And then there's, it'll be interesting to see how they play it moving forward with the Aldridge Roy era and this Dame CJ era that you
I mean, CJ will be like kind of the debatable one. I mean, Lillard's numbers retired guaranteed.
Right, yeah,
like you know what I mean? Like that's not even something to even discuss. His letter is guaranteed, I should say. But I mean, Aldridge is recent. Roy is a little bit more recent. Kersey is way back in the day. So I feel like if you retire like Roy's and Aldridge's, you don't necessarily have to go back to the early 90s to do that just because it's been so long. I don't really know how you feel on kind of the, how much time it's been. Obviously, I have no attachment to those 90 runs, but Roy and Aldridge are recent and nobody's worn those numbers, at least, in a regular season game, so I feel like that's slightly different.
Yeah. Well, when Kersey passed away, that was the thing. It's like, how did he not have his jersey retired before that happened? I don't know if they were planning on doing it someday or whatever, but I don't know. When I think of Blazers, and part of this is because I was a kid growing up in the 80s, so like I'm very fond of that team, obviously. But when I think of the number 25 in Portland, I think of Jerome Kersey. So like that to me is one of the things that gets to me when I'm thinking about retired numbers. Just like number 7, I think of Brandon Roy. 12, obviously, I think of Aldridge. 0 or the letter O will always be Dame from now on.
Yeah, 88 will likely always be Batum.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get where you're coming from on that. It's an interesting debate. I mean, whatever the team decides to do, I'm cool with. I don't know why people get so worked up. Like, no, you cannot retire his number. He didn't do enough. And they get so worked up and discredit Aldridge and all over a number. It's like, who really cares that much? Why do some people care that much? I don't get it, and then you have people on the other side. You have to retire his number. You have to honor him. He deserves it. It's just like, I don't get why people get so caught up in that whole thing. I don't get why people care so much about it. I'll just let the organization make whatever decision they want to. Dame saying that Aldridge's number should be retired probably will play a factor into it. I wouldn't necessarily have expected it, but with Dame saying, the number 12 should be retired, I expect it to happen now. But either way, it's just, I'll let the organization make that decision and live with it. I don't get why people get so heated about it.
Yeah, exactly. And Mateo, he's saying that if it wasn't for the Cold War, Arvydas Sabonis might have came over earlier before he got hurt and when he was one of the most dominant players in the world. That's what Zach was trying to imply.
Mm-hmm. And the Cold War took away a championship from us, man.
And then the other thing is too, So just to clarify for chat, Aldridge won one series with the Blazers. That was the Dame buzzer beater against Houston. Um, honestly, that was, I mean, Aldridge was fantastic, obviously, in that series, especially game 1 and 2. Um, but until that series, he was, I don't know, he didn't really have the best performances in the playoffs, and he kind of struggled. But yeah, that was his only series win. But I know he has at least two with the Spurs because they made the Western Conference Finals. Um, and that was the year Kawhi undercut, or not Kawhi,
Zaza.
Zaza undercut Kawhi, and that kind of ruined their chances. They had I want to say a 20-point lead in that game when that happened, in game 1, and then they got blown out the rest of the series. But so yeah, he had some success, but I think the first year we both made it to the second round. So yeah, he has one more series, or I guess that's at least 3 series wins with the Spurs. But that was always the thing, Aldridge left us, so we still made it to the second round, same as him and the Spurs. But yeah, it's not. I don't really want to harp on that too much because just tough for any athlete to be. I thought the same thing when Roy, obviously, LaMarcus got a lot more time than Roy did, but you never like to see these guys, especially ones that are as good as those two, have their careers cut short.
Yeah, and then Reese says Nurkic shouldn't get retired unless something changes in the future. I mean, Nurkic is 26 years old, Reese.
Yeah.
He's 26 years old, man. I don't know. I don't get the point of even saying that because the dude's not even really in his prime yet. So, I mean, if he's ever able to get healthy and tap into his potential and he becomes an all-star and he's here for another 10 years and maybe we make a few runs with him, then Nurkic would likely get retired in that situation. I mean, I think Nurkic, a little side point, I think he has the potential to be a fringe all-star, maybe even an all-star caliber player. I truly believe that. Just needs the right system, needs some health, needs to be able to be more consistent. But he has that potential. He's only 26, so I'm not going to sit here and say Nurkic shouldn't get retired. It's like we shouldn't even be having that conversation for another 10 years at this point. So,
yeah, I agree. They were talking about Aldridge being here for 9 years. Nurkic has been here, 4.5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And one of those years he didn't even play, really. So, yeah.
Yep. So you want to talk about this game that we got coming up tomorrow? You ready to transition to that? So the Blazers take on Aldridge's old team in the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs right now have a record of, I don't have this up. Let me find the game details here. The Spurs have a record of 26-27, so they've fallen below 500. They were playing good basketball, but they've kind of tapered off. Portland right now is a 1.5 point favorite in this game. But I mean, the Spurs are not a team that should be taken lightly. They've already blown us out this year. Of course, we didn't have CJ and Nurkic, but still, we've had those guys back, and against decent to good teams have still really struggled. So DeMar DeRozan is the guy that makes things work there, but the way we scheme against the pick and roll, we should be fine because DeMar DeRozan isn't really a 3-point shooter. Honestly, we could just go under screens on him. Other than him, Keldon Johnson is a guy who's, I think, really underrated, a guy that not a lot of people seem to be too familiar with, but he's been balling out this year. I want to pull up the team stats here. DeMar DeRozan is really the guy that makes everything go, though. He's averaging 21 points per game, 7 assists per game, shooting 50% from the field, but he's only a 28.6% three-point shooter.
Yep, and the Spurs, they've lost 6 out of their last 8 games, and before that had lost 5 out of 7. So this is a team that has really been struggling the last few weeks. I posted after the Blazer game on Tuesday. I posted a thing about the last 18 games for the Blazers, and at the time, the Spurs hadn't lost to the Raptors last night, so they were at 500. and it was 15 of the 18 teams we had remaining were at 500 or above, and of the 3 and now 4 with the Spurs that aren't. The Spurs kicked our butt earlier in the year. The Pacers kicked our butt earlier in the year, and the Rockets beat us without Harden once this year. So not an easy schedule remaining. This is a game against a team that's kind of fighting for the play-in spot and all that kind of stuff. So this is a game we absolutely need. I think it's a huge game and one we really need to play well in.
Yeah, and they have 7 guys averaging double figures. DeMar DeRozan, obviously, as I said, is the guy that makes it go. So I forgot about DeJounte Murray. He's definitely kind of their number 2 guy. He's averaging 16 a game, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. The thing is, DeJounte Murray isn't a good three-point shooter either. He's only 32%. Derek White's only shooting 33% from 3, but he's giving him 15 points per game. Keldon Johnson's only shooting 33% from 3, but I think he's a better shooter than that. He's at 13 right now. You got Patty Mills averaging 12, Lonnie Walker averaging 11, and Rudy Gay averaging 11. Jakob Poeltl is an underrated big and a good defender, underrated defender at the center spot. He's started the majority of their games at the center spot. 35 out of the 53 games he's played, he's started. So is there any of these guys injured tomorrow, Eric? Do you know?
Let me check. I think as of last game, unless something happened against Toronto, I think they had most of their guys healthy. Excuse me. As Isaac mentioned in the chat real quick, Wiseman did undergo surgery today and is definitely done for the season. He's not on.
Yeah, that was just tweeted out. Meniscus tear there. You good?
Yeah.
You good? Okay. So let me know if any of these guys are injured. Yeah.
So obviously Marquise Chris is injured. Lyles is out indefinitely. Eubanks is day to day, and Jang is day to day.
Yeah. So none of those top 7 double-digit scores. LaMarcus Aldridge also was a double-digit scorer for them. Obviously, he's gone and retired now. But you got 7 guys here, and a lot of them aren't good three-point shooting threats. DeRozan isn't much of a threat. DeJounte Murray isn't much of a threat. Derek White and Keldon Johnson have struggled from the outside. So this is a team where you can maybe get away just going under screens on against some of these guys. Now, you don't want to let a Keldon Johnson or Derek White get going, but I don't know. I feel like this is a good matchup for us defensively if we just want to run drop scheme. It's kind of like Philadelphia in a way. Obviously, they don't have a Ben Simmons, but DeRozan is kind of their big playmaking wing. With a lot of similarities to Ben Simmons in terms of his size, playmaking ability, and the fact that he can't really shoot threes. DeRozan's better three-point shooter, but DeRozan gets going in the mid-range, though. So I don't want this to be a situation where we fight over the screen and then drop the big to the rim and he's pulling up from mid-range, right? Either bring both players up to the point of the screen and hedge it or trap it or whatever, or have the guard go under so he can't get into the mid-range. Have both guys drop, basically. But go under the screen, pick him back up when he gets within the three-point line, make that mid-range shot tough for him. That's how it should be guarded. One of those two ways. Either way, I'm cool with. Because I don't think he's going to be pulling up behind screens if you go under and shooting those threes. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see how we guard DeMar DeRozan pick and rolls. But this team does have talent, though. I mean, Derek White, even though he's shooting 33%, can get going offensively. Keldon Johnson can get going offensively. We certainly know Patty Mills can get going. Lonnie Walker can get going offensively. They got some guys that wouldn't wow you when you look at their season stats. Like, they're like a 12-point-per-game guy, a 13-point-per-game guy. But they have a lot of guys that I feel like are capable of scoring 25 points on us. I mean, we haven't even talked about Rudy Gay. He crushed us in that first matchup. He absolutely crushed us in that first matchup. So it'll be interesting to see how we do defensively against this team.
Yeah, and I agree with you on how to guard DeRozan. Just gotta. I wouldn't throw too much help on there outside of the two guys involved in the pick and roll. DeRozan is one of those few guys that in the past has posted up our guards and can get his shot off, but I mean, he can get that shot off a lot of guys. It's not necessarily because we have a small backcourt. But I would like to see, if he is posting up a lot, throwing a double team his way, stuff like that. Yeah.
Offensively, on that end of the ball, I think if we come out and play how we did in the first half, Isaac, can you stop, dude?
It's so annoying.
Anyway, sorry, chat's being a little obnoxious right now. I'm perma hiding all his burners, by the way. But just any burner from Isaac, perma ban it. As far as
stop or you'll get your main one perma ban too.
Yeah, dude. Like God, man, grow up a little bit. As far as the offense, with this game, if we run offense like we did in the first half of the Celtics game, I think we win this game. Because the Celtics are a better defensive team, harder to deal with, and the Spurs are worse. So we were able to score 60 points without Dame really getting going and without CJ really good and going. Melo got going a little bit, but out of those three guys, one of them should be able to get going on any given night. I think if we move the ball, if we utilize Nurkic's playmaking like we did in that first half against that Celtics team, the Spurs are a little bit more undersized, it feels like, a little bit less athletic. So some of the passes that might not have been there against that Celtics team might be throwable in this game. So I just don't want it to be a situation where you're isolating Dame against DeJounte Murray, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. I don't want it to be something where we're just running pick and roll, because Jakob Poeltl is a good defender, very underrated in my opinion. I feel like we just need to move the ball, and we need to work for shots, because we should be able to get a good shot almost every time down. We don't need to settle for sidestep, contested, step back, fadeaway threes. We don't need Dame to go one-on-one against DeJounte Murray to make things happen. If we move the ball, if we move players, it'll be productive.
Yeah, and actually Poeltl, he's a guy who Dame struggles finishing against. He seems to kind of have his number in terms of not allowing Dame to get to the rim, and that's always been something that when Dame struggles to do that, it kind of shuts him down from driving, and it leads to him struggling elsewhere too, because if he's not attacking that rim, they can play up more on the three-point shot. So I think it's important, like you said, to use passing and maybe some plays to get Poeltl away from the rim, and that way you can, obviously if he's guarding Nurkic, that's a lot easier for that to happen, because Nurk plays up top a lot. But yeah, so I think that's one of the keys, is trying to neutralize his effect on his rim protection.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of underrated as a defender in the same way as Nurkic is underrated as a defender. Mm-hmm. You look at him, it's like, it's a big, kind of... They're one of... Nurkic and Poeltl are those big men that are kind of like, seem like throw-it-back big men. Don't seem too athletic, kind of bulky a little bit. So you just assume that they're not the best defenders if you don't know any better. But they're both very good.
Yep.
So, what else do you want to touch on from this game, or is that the recap for you? Does anything else come to mind?
Well, so that Dame fan was saying that Stotts had an interview today. He talked about how he liked the ball movement we had against Boston, and that he's looking to use that and off-ball screens a lot more if they shut down the pick and roll. So something I'd like to hear, to that,
bro, we've been asking this for 3 years. It's just basic common sense.
Thank you if you do finally, I don't know what you need to hear to know that is what you should be doing as the coach, but that is definitely something that I would very much be welcome to, and that should happen. If we're being honest, there's no reason why we haven't done that against teams that pressure the pick and roll or shut that down instead of just keep going to it. So I would very much love to see that actually happen on the floor, and I hope that that's not just words, because we've seen with the defense it's just all talk and it doesn't translate to on the floor, so I hope that's not the case with that.
Yep. I mean, it's funny because he said, "Oh, I'm not worried about what teams do when they trap us." Like a couple games ago he said that. And now it's, oh yeah, if they shut down the pick and roll, we're going to utilize a lot more ball movement, yada yada. It's like, well, yes. I mean, that's literally what we've said. You know, if it's getting going and the defense isn't guarding the pick and roll well, sure, use that, abuse that, get Dame going, have Dame score a 50-point game off of that. But most good teams will take that away. Most good teams know how to guard the pick and roll, and most good teams will come out with a good game plan against Dame and trap him or put some pressure on him, make life hard on him. When that happens, I mean, we've been saying this for years, you need better ball movement, you need better player movement. And that quote from Stotts basically agrees with that.
Yeah.
Finally. You know what I mean? But the thing is like he said he was going to switch up the defense at the start of the season, and look what happened. You know what I mean? So I'm not putting stock in it as if it's something that's going to consistently happen, because, I mean, we've seen how Stotts has coached the past 3-4 years, and I'm not going to take one quote and think that's going to change him as a coach. You know, I tried to be optimistic with him at the start of the season and give him a chance. He used up that chance for me. But is that it's at least nice for him to say he liked the ball movement and the player movement and that he wants to utilize that. I mean, that's better than nothing. That's better than what it was.
It's also better than him saying, "Oh, I tried it last game and it didn't work. We lost still." So.
Well, I mean, wait until we struggle with it for one quarter, and then that'll be the case. But I mean, that first half against the Celtics was exactly the type of offense we need to play. It's exactly the type of offense that me and Eric have been talking about doing for years. For years. CJ and Dame didn't get going. We still poured in 60 against the Celtics and we're up 3. That's far better than getting blown out by 20 every time we faced a playoff level team. So, yeah, I was very, very happy with that. And, it also didn't result in more turnovers, Eric, even though we moved the ball better. We finished with 31 assists and less turnovers than we did the game before against the Heat, where we never even passed the ball. Interesting. I thought it would result in more turnovers, according to some, but it didn't. I mean, this team has players that can move the ball. I mean, Melo hit Rocco on a great cut. It was a great find by Melo. We know Melo can pass the ball. He just needs to be put in a position to pass the ball. Rocco is a smart passer. I think he had 3 assists in that first half. And we all know Dame, CJ, and Nurkic can pass the ball. I mean, Powell, I think, is a little underrated as a passer. He has a good feel for the game. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to move the ball, move players, and have a productive offense that way. And the thing is if we did that all season, that was basically all we did, and we were the 6th ranked offense, I would feel much more comfortable going into the playoffs than if we run pick and roll all regular season or the 6th ranked offense, because it's much easier to game plan for it and take away a pick and roll than it is to take away a complex movement-based offense in the playoffs.
And so someone's saying, all right, Ian GPC says, maybe Stotts finally realized he might get fired if he doesn't improve these things. I mean, I guess I'd say better late than never. But,
it just shouldn't take that, yeah, and if that's the case, that makes me uncomfortable because he's only doing it because he's worried about his job and not doing it because he realizes he should do it.
Yeah, and it won't work if he's doing it for the wrong reasons, in my opinion. Like, he has to be fully bought in, because if he's not bought into it, then that's obviously why his players don't buy into it as well, because they can tell if he's not like meaning what he's saying. And so yeah, I just hope they come out and are moving the ball. The key to that, to me, the whole thing is the off-ball movement and off-ball screens, Because if you start to see those where it's more players curling towards the basket or into the free throw line area instead of just running towards half court every time they get a screen, I think that will open up a lot of avenues for passing, and just naturally our ball movement will improve because players are open, and it's not a difficult pass to a player coming off a screen for an open shot. So I think that's the key is you can't just say, oh, share the ball, guys. Like he's tried saying, oh, I said that to him in the timeout, like go out there and share the ball. It's a lot more complicated than that. You have to have an offense that's designed to share the ball and that's predicated on these guys looking for certain players or having certain options. Like if you're a quarterback, you have 1, 2, 3 options like on a play, right? And it doesn't seem like we it doesn't seem like we have like many options if our first option breaks down. So it's not just like making one off-ball movement. You have to have several different wrinkles to each play. And then as the defense picks up on it, you switch it up and do something different. And until we see that kind of stuff, I think we'll see the same thing where as soon as we struggle, we'll resort back to ISO and pick and roll. But I'd love to be wrong about that.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to see a continuation of last game. If we regress, I mean, that's just more reason to never put stock into us showing what we need to do for a game. You know what I mean? Because we've seen flashes of good ball movement in games in the past, and then we regress. And we've heard Stotts say things in the past that we need to be doing, and then we don't do them. So it's just going to be another case study for that, and I would be surprised if we continue to move forward with an offense that utilize more ball movement and whatnot. I mean, we need to, but given the way the past few years have gone, I don't expect it. But that's why this game is extremely interesting to me, is because of what we showed in that Boston Celtics game, because of the ball movement, the player movement we showed. We also switched up some pick and roll schemes. So, I mean, two of the things that I really wanted. So, anyway. That's why I'm curious to see what we do in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd be very disappointed if we played exactly the same way as we did the first time we played the Spurs, just hoping it would be different this time. That's not how you beat teams like that are well coached. So you had 2 days off. I forgot the sheet at work, so I did some research today, and in games where we have had more than 1 day in between the games, we're 5-6. So that includes the first day of the season, first game, the game after the All-Star break, and then any game that we've had like 2 days off like this one. And those 5 wins were against like the Magic, the Pistons, the Rockets, and I think like a couple other crappy teams. I forgot which ones. So like they were all bad teams, and then all our losses we just got like destroyed by good teams. So so I'd like to see that improve. To me, that's coaching. You have multiple days to prepare for a team. The Spurs are coming off playing last night. They don't play tonight, but they haven't had 2 days off like we have. So you'd think having an extra day to prepare for a team is an advantage for a coach who prepares his team. So I would like to see us be more prepared in situations like this where we need to go there, we need to play well, we need to keep winning, to keep positioning in the West, all that kind of stuff. I don't think there's any excuse for the coach not to have a good game plan in this one. And if he gets out-coached by Popovich and we lose because our coaches weren't prepared in this game, I'm going to be a little mad after the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we'll see what the Blazers can do tomorrow night against the San Antonio Spurs. That is a 5:30 p.m. tip-off, if I recall correctly, an earlier tip-off.
Yes, 5:30. Yep, 5:30.
That game is being played in San Antonio, so that's why. We have a lot of 7 p.m. games for the rest of this month, whether or not we're at home or on the road. We're playing a lot of West Coast games, so this is an outlier in terms of that. So our post-game stream will be going live around 8, a little bit earlier than normal because we got an early game against the Spurs. Anything else you want to touch on from this stream? I feel like we've been slightly disconjointed because chat's just putting us there.
Well, Slotvic asked, do you guys think the Mavs will pass us?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's pretty likely. Especially, it doesn't help that Luka hits a crazy game winner last night. But yeah, they have a very easy schedule, and like I said earlier, our schedule is very tough. We're playing a lot of teams that are 500 or better, almost all the games, and if not, some of the teams we're playing are still fighting for playoff positioning, even if they're not above 500. So every game is going to be a battle. It's going to be like last year. They wanted to avoid this situation because we heard them all talk about how having to win almost every game in the bubble took a toll, and they were so tired by the time they got to the playoffs, and they have to play the play-in game and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this season they were talking about not putting themselves in a position where they had to fight so hard for seeding games, but now they put themselves in a position where these last 18 games are basically playoff games, and they need to continue to building upon whatever ball movement and defense they had last game, and hope that they can, by the end of the season, not only win some of these games to avoid the play-in, but also be playing better than they have, so they have a chance to win once they make the playoffs.
Yep, I agree with that. So the Mavericks play the Knicks tomorrow. That game is actually on ESPN, tipping off at 6:30, an hour after ours. If they win that game and we lose to the Spurs, we're tied. Now, we have the tiebreaker with them, but we're tied. So, yeah, most metrics favor the Mavericks passing us and getting that 6th spot. We are most likely, just according to just odds, and, you can kind of evaluate how many wins we're going to get the rest of the season based on our record and based on the records of the teams we're playing, and just based off that, the Mavericks are likely to pass us, and we're most likely to face the Suns in the first round. Now, that's the thing, we get the 7th seed. The Suns are playing great basketball, and they're 39-15, but I would be more afraid of the Lakers and the Clippers than them, to be honest.
If healthy, you got to weigh in the experience factor. Chris Paul obviously has experience, but the rest of their team basically has zero outside of Jay Crowder. I'm blanking on if anyone else on their team even has played a playoff game outside of those two. But it's a situation. Oh, I guess they have Torrey Craig now, who has obviously played a few playoff series. But yeah, that's not that much experience. So that is definitely something where the playoffs are a different animal. And if you're not prepared the first time you play for that kind of atmosphere and what to expect and all that kind of stuff, it's definitely a thing where inexperience can hurt you. But I will say, with the play-in games, here's the other thing. So that takes time to work out. So I think there's almost a week break in between the end of the regular season and when the playoffs start for those teams, for the teams not in the play-in games. So that's also, I don't know if they start the other series prior to that, maybe the 3-6 and 4-5 games.
I don't think they will. I think they'll have a bit of a layoff there.
So, we talked about how it might not matter for this team since we're not very good when we have multiple days off, but just having almost a week to rest some of our guys who are banged up, like a Damian Lillard, and not have to win 2 games or 1 game just to make the playoffs and have to play that week. I think that would be huge for our team, just not having to go through that physicalness of those 2 games.
Yeah, I agree with that. But at this point, the Blazers just got to beat some good teams. 15 of the remaining 18 games are teams that are 500 or above. And one of those teams that's not is the Pacers, who have had terrible health issues this year. And, they blew us out earlier this season. So the Pacers aren't your typical below 500 team. They shouldn't be taken lightly. I mean,
I think we scored like 88 points or something in that game too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe we play them late enough where they might have TJ Warren back at that point. I mean, I don't know. They now got Karis LeVert, who was missing a lot of time after they traded for him. So, I mean, like, we don't have an easy schedule left whatsoever. We have a lot of tough games coming up, and if they play a good style of basketball, they can maintain that 6th seed potentially, maybe even move up to 5th, depending on if the Lakers continue to falter a little bit before they get AD and LeBron back. I mean, the Nuggets just lost Jamal Murray. Maybe they go on a little bit of a slide. I wouldn't rule out necessarily the 4th or 5th seed, but I think at this point, getting the top 3 is probably out of the picture. The 4th or 5th seed would be very unlikely. We're kind of stuck at 6th or 7th. In my opinion, that's probably where we slot in at.
I'm just looking up TJ Warren. Someone's saying he's out for the year.
Is he out for the year? I thought he was coming back. I might be wrong, though.
The last I see is he's rehabbing, and there's not a timetable, but they're talking. Nate Bjorkgren was saying that he's not close to being on the court, but that they're not pinpointing a date, but it's still possible.
Yeah, either way, that's one of the 3 under 500 teams we face. It's not like we're facing, I don't know what the other 2 are, but I mean, that's one of the better under 500 teams there is. We don't have an easy path the rest of the way, and we told you guys this. I said it in my schedule breakdown that I dropped before the season, that this was going to be that the second half schedule was going to be harder than the first half, because at that point we only had the first half schedule, but the first half schedule was easy. So I mean, it just comes down to, honestly, I'm not even as focused on wins and losses as I'd normally be. I'm more focused on our style of play, because if we don't improve that, it doesn't even matter if we get the 6th seed. We're not winning in the first round anyway. You know what I mean? So what I care about is the style of play in which we're playing with. If it doesn't improve, we're going to lose in the first round. Stuff's going to be gone. If it does improve, then maybe we win in the first round. Maybe we get the 6th seed, and then maybe we beat the Clippers or something. Or maybe we still fall to 7th, but then we can beat the Suns. I don't know. It just comes down to style of play for me.
Yep. King asked when Zach's coming back. No one knows, man. They don't tell us anything. Late this month would be about the 4-month minimum that he would be out until. But I think they're going to be super cautious with him. So, yeah, no, the Blazers don't tell us crap about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. I agree. So that's going to wrap up the stream. Thank you for tuning in. We will be live after the game tomorrow against the Spurs. That stream will go live around 8 p.m. We will recap that game, talk about the style of basketball in which we play. It will be a heavy emphasis, as it is on most of our post-game shows, and then we'll head into the weekend. I think the next game after that is against... I'm blanking on our schedule right now. We got the Spurs tomorrow. We got the Hornets after that. So the Hornets right now are sitting at 500. They don't have LaMelo Ball. So that's one of the easier games. That's a 4 p.m. tip-off on Sunday. And then we got a TNT game against the Clippers, which could be a playoff preview on the 20th. So Clippers, Nuggets, Grizzlies, 3 out of 4 games. It's ramping up. It's that time of year, man. It's the stretch run of the regular season. We will have you covered right here on Blazers Uprise and Blazers Uprise Live. So anyway, hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you for tuning in to today's stream. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like button. It does help us out a little bit. And subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, that's a wrap. Anything you want to end off with, Eric?
No, thank everyone for watching and tuning in, and I hope everyone has a great evening.
Alrighty. I will catch you later. Eric will catch you later. We'll catch you later. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.